I'll stop for a second. There's a million things I could talk about, but how about if I take some of your questions? If there were some questions. Let's go around.
Yeah, and then some people were already scheduled, like some people already had questions, so I know that Deja had some questions.
Do you want to do those first?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Well,
All right,
go ahead. I know that Juan had a question. Go ahead, Juan.
Go ahead, yeah.
Oh, I have a question.
Oh, really?
You said that young people don't vote, right?
Yeah.
How about if those, kind of like the majority of those are actually immigrants and they can't vote? Probably that's why they don't vote.
Well, there are some people, obviously, in that group who won't vote because they're not legal citizens. And so that limits their ability, but they can still organize, most assuredly, and they can work in campaigns and lend support. And there's no question that the laws that are passed affect the rights of immigrants too. And we should be real clear about that, by the way. Immigrants have rights. And everybody in this country, I don't care if their parents or their ancestors go back to the Pilgrims or whatever, everybody except the indigenous people who were already here were immigrants to this country. Right? My parents came in 1955. Okay, we're all immigrants to this country. And sometimes it takes longer to become a citizen if you want to become a citizen than other times. But you should always, if possible, be involved in campaigns. Get involved in the process. Because voting won't be the only way you can help if that's the case. And not voting means that other people will determine your fates, if that's the case. So it's still an argument to do that. It's a good question, though. One of the problems we have in politics in this country is that when we have problems, maybe you know this in relationships in your family. When something's bad in your life, you want to blame somebody else about it, right? Yeah. So in this country, we do that with immigrants a lot, right? Unemployment is high. We'll blame it on the immigrants. They're taking our jobs. What jobs are they taking? Really? I grew up in the San Joaquin Valley. Gets to be 115 degrees in the shade in the summer.
Oh my God.
You don't find a lot of white people in the valley going out to pick fruit. I'm sorry, you don't. They won't do those jobs. They won't do those jobs. I did as a kid, right? You don't. You don't find a lot of people willing to do industrial work or to do clean hotel rooms or whatever, right? Our immigrants do lots of different kinds of work, not just those kinds of work. Nobody's stealing anybody's jobs. But when people are upset, they blame them. They blame others. And immigrants are a group, you know this, they get blamed. And the reality is they're not represented in the political process, if that's the case, which is why it's important to volunteer in campaigns, like I said. I'm sorry, go ahead. I don't mind, go ahead. Okay.
Deja, you had a question?
Yeah, okay. Who else?
Okay, Greg, go ahead.
Okay, I'll get everybody, I promise.
You were talking about the AARP.
Mm-hmm.
The money that y'all work for, it goes to them? Like,
Well, it doesn't go to the AARP, but it goes to the people who are old enough to be in the AARP.
how long does that last?
All their lives. All the rest of their lives.
I want to be
You're
old.
you're eligible for Social Security at, I think, 62.
Yeah.
Does it matter what certain job that you do when you
No, no. No, don't get me wrong. It's not like it's a gigantic fat check to live on. Right? We might be talking about $18,000 to $22,000 a year. Something like that. That sounds like a lot to you, but if you've got a house and lots of expenses, and life, or just an apartment or whatever, we're talking about maybe $1,000, $1,500 a month. It's not a lot to live on, right? But it's something that you still have to pay for, and there are millions of people who get it. Right? That's a lot. Does that make you mad a little bit? Sure. Good. I'm not against Social Security, but you ought to have a say. It's your future too. Because you're paying into a system you don't get the benefit from until you're that old. Right.
All right, David.
Go ahead.
What do you enjoy most about your job?
Well, I have a couple jobs. As a professor, I love being in a classroom. Maybe you can tell. I like to talk. And my parents were teachers, by the way, and my brothers are teachers too. So it's kind of a family business. I love interacting with people. And one of the things I loved about campaigning and being a candidate is it's sort of a next step, if you like. Someone asked me during the campaign, why would you think you could be mayor? And I said, well, what's a teacher do? Really, what does a teacher do? A teacher teaches. What does that mean? Well, you inspire people, you correct people, you share things with people, you set goals for people, you evaluate them to see if they're meeting those goals. You try and be an example for them if you can, right? Wouldn't you want a leader to do that too? Right? And I like trying to do those things anyway. And I find, to answer your question, as a teacher, I learn things, I probably learn more from my students than they learn from me sometimes, I think. But I think it's the best job in the world.
Daisy, I know you had your hand up.
Yeah.
Would you ever like to run for mayor again?
Yeah, I think I would. And I'll probably look at either city council or maybe the state legislature before that. How many of you have been all over the city before? A couple of you. It's a big city. It's a huge city. And I can't imagine a more different place in different parts of the city than Oakland. Right? It's hugely different. One of the great things about running for office, you all should think about doing that too, is seeing how different every part of the city is, and somehow it all sticks together. But you wouldn't think it sometimes when you look at how different it is. It's really different in different parts of the city. West Oakland is just as different as night and day from East Oakland. East Oakland is different from the hills. You know, you go around the city, it's all different. It's a place called Jingletown. Anybody know where Jingletown is?
Yeah.
Right? Very different from here, right? And it's within spitting distance of here. Right? It's not that far from here. I don't want to say spitting distance, but it's a little, it doesn't take that long to get there, right? It's very different. And one of the great things about running for office is to see how diverse, not just ethnically or racially, but just geographically diverse our city is. And yet somehow it all sticks together. Kind of interesting.
Joanna, you have a question?
Yeah.
Why do you wanted to become mayor of Oakland?
Why did I want to become mayor of Oakland? Well, mostly to be a mayor who would advocate for education, I think was one of my incentives. So to help our students here, be a mayor for our students. Without boring you to death with all of this city has a budget. We have so much money we're supposed to spend, and right now we don't have enough money to meet and pay all our bills. And so I wanted to be someone who would be more careful about that, to make sure that we could afford everything we were paying for. You all have to live your lives that way, right? You don't spend money you don't have. And I wanted our city to do that too, to make sure that the priorities that it needed to meet would be met.